Man, guys, I got a cool one here. Check this out. This was a gift to my client by a stern Austrian named Eric. This is a custom-made boar skinning knife. It was made by a reclusive knife maker in Germany. Check this out. Coolest part, he made this Damascus from retired steel found in the barrels of artillery and tanks like the Tiger. Super cool history, heavy history in this knife. Now, I'm no metallurgist, but my client tells me this is the only knife in his bag that he can skin an entire 300-pound boar without it crapping out halfway through. He's tried S90V, doesn't hold up like this. So kind of a head scratcher. We'll talk more about that in a minute. In this video, I'm gonna be reprofiling this. We're gonna find the existing edge angle, and there's no room for error after that. We have deep history and friendship to respect here. All right, let's grind. Man, take a look at the pattern of that Damascus. Absolutely gorgeous. And what an absolute honor it is for me to be chosen to sharpen this particular knife. My client, he's got a huge collection, and not just any collection. He's a high-end collector. And this is his most cherished. This is the one he carries on his hip when he goes hog hunting. When he's got to skin a boar, this is the one. And he chose me. Typically, when I get a blade like this in the shop, I'll put it underneath the laser edge reader and I'll get a reading on the edge angle. But in this case, we've got a pretty heavy convex. And on those convex grinds, they're very difficult to get an accurate reading. So going back to basics, taking some measurements, and calculating what the existing edge is. There were a few spots on this blade where I was able to determine that, you know, I was like, maybe it's 15, maybe it's 17. Well, the math says 16. Guess what? That's right in the middle. That's what we're going with. And we still have the Sharpie test to confirm. If you've watched some of my recent videos, you already know I'm on this new kick where I want a perfect angle from heel to point. If I put 16 degrees on this thing, it's 16 at the heel, it's 16 at the point. Well, in this case, this is different. It's very important, guys, to consider the utility of the blade. And in this case, the utility is skinning hogs, okay? Well, what kind of risks do we have when we're skinning a hog? Well, we get under the skin and we're skinning away and we puncture something that we shouldn't puncture. Maybe it's the gut bag, right? That's not a good thing to happen from what I hear. Never done it myself, but that's what I know. So I thought to myself, why don't we do the traditional setup where we have a little bit of a steeper angle towards the tip and the lower angle towards the bottom, so the bottom's a little bit more slicey than the tip. And the tip or the point is a bit more beefier, a more durable apex. And the knife's going to be working through some of the toughest parts of the hide and hitting bone and all that gristle. And I could notice whenever I get a knife, first thing I do is I start assessing it. And I noticed there was some concave between the belly and the point. And I tried to illustrate it here for you. So we're going to go ahead and fix that. We're going to remove that concave. And if you own a belt sander, it's pretty easy to do. Slap on an old worn out belt like I'm doing right here, right now. This particular belt you saw those little marks on there. I used it to true up a nylon wheel at some point. I'm just going to take some nice, almost no pressure strokes and try to remove that concave. Pressure at this point, especially on a used dull belt, I'm going to tell you, it's dangerous. If you put pressure, you can put a lot of heat into the tip. And when that happens, you'll know when it does, because that thing pops like a friggin' zit. Last thing we want to do is burn the tip on this knife. Again, this is a very precious knife to my client. So we're going to take our time. We're going to take a close look, make sure we get rid of that concave. Boom. No more concave. This particular blade has a bit of a recurve between the heel and the belly. It's very subtle, but it's there. And it's one of those blades where if I took it to the traditional CBN wheel that I use that you see on the right now, it's got that square, sharp, a very sharp square edge. If I tried to sharpen this on that, it would not go well. It would, I could probably get it sharp, but it wouldn't look pretty. So here I have a specialized wheel. It has radiused edges. And I can actually tilt the knife a little bit. And that'll allow me to access an apex on this recurve. Check it out. See how I'm tilted slightly? Boom. Now I'm going to start flattening out on the middle of the flat area of the wheel. I think one of the reasons we're all so attractive and in love with knives is not just because they're slicey and they're sharp and they're shiny, but it's the stories that come with them. And let me tell you, the story behind this knife is one for the record books. This thing's made out of World War II artillery barrels, Tiger tank barrels. Like, imagine that. And you know me, I couldn't help myself. I had to know. What the heck were the Germans using in the early 40s when they were building gun barrels or artillery and tank barrels? Well, what I uncovered, they were using chromium, nickel, and molybdenum. Now, I'm no metallurgist, but if you ask me, that does not sound like the recipe for an amazing knife. But what I found out later was in the late shift of the war, like the mid 40s, the Germans switched over to vanadium. This probably wasn't the best for those gun barrels, but when it comes to knife steel, you and I, we already know. All right, it's time to get off the history kick. This is kind of important to me, what I'm doing right here, right now. I am 0.2 of a degree lower than what I did my initial apex grinding at. What I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to get about 4 to 5, maybe 6 microns underneath what I've already grinded, edge trailing, no pressure. Well, there's pressure, but the least amount of pressure I can get away with, because I want to build an apex underneath any steel that may have been stressed or fractured. And this is going to give this blade the best chance for edge retention that it can get. And here's another important piece I want to point out, okay? This is, how do I put it, like high angle honing. So what I've done is I've increased my angle slightly. This steel, it produced a wire edge burr, a positive burr. So what I decided to do is I increased my edge angle by roughly 4 to 5 tenths. I'm trying to ensure that the diamond particles on the strop hit the absolute tip of the wire edge to, I guess, snap it. I want it to cut off and cut away. Now, if I knew for 100% without a doubt that this was Rex 121 or Maximet, a negative burr, I would actually decrease my angle by a couple tenths, maybe 2 tenths of a degree. But based off of the feedback I was getting from this knife during the sharpening process, I'm confident we're going to increase and we're going to knock it off. All right, good. Microphone's on this time. Boy, do we have a lot to unpack. Holy cow. You're going to see, and if you stick around a minute, I want to show you the actual work I did on this edge. I am so proud of this knife. This is probably one of my best ever. And I'm not going to do the whole zip, 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 here you go. And, no, HD, slow motion, still frame. I want you to see the actual work on this thing. We're also doing a giveaway, KSAG 5. Stick around another minute. And then, oh my gosh, lots to unpack. We've got one down, one to go. Got a bunch of belts in the house. Holy cow, let me tell you about that. First and foremost, this knife is a very sentimental knife to my customer, and he's such a good guy. I went above and beyond on this edge. You might have saw when I was finishing over here and I did my cut test, it got snagged a couple times. I was like, whoop, nope, that's not going to work. So off camera, I did a little extra work and I could not be happier with the absolute sharpness of this. Obviously, U-line paper is great when it can cut that. I was like, you know what? Can we get it shop towel cut and sharp? Oh, yeah. And Josh, I don't know if you know me that well, but I hate wasting paper towels. That's for you, my friend. KSA G5 giveaway. This knife has a really cool story behind it. A friend bought it for a friend. It was made by a really cool reclusive knife maker. And boy, it's a performer. It's my client's favorite knife for skinning 300-pound boar. What's your story? And share your story in the comments below. I've got a really cool one to share. You'll see mine down below. Share your comment of your cool knife story. Maybe it was a gift. Maybe you got stuck in the middle of a canyon in Arizona or Utah and a giant boulder landed on your leg and you had to grab your Leatherman and cut your leg off and you crawled back to your car and survived. I don't know. Let's hear all your stories. Let's have some fun. After that, join the Sharpeners Discord. Under my story will be a link to join. Why? Because I need to be able to connect with you should you win the drawing. And it was just a couple weeks ago, a subscriber like you actually won, Mr. Shane Wolf. Oh yeah, random drawing, he won, he connected with me. Now we're friends. And guess what? A couple days ago, I shipped him his new angle guide. And we got a bunch of belts. I was overpaying for belts. I was paying a lot of money for shipping and waiting a long time. Just didn't work for my style. We tried with the Discord community a cooperative order. The cooperative orders, the concept is really cool, but I'm not smart enough to achieve and keep it organized enough to make it happen. So I said, screw it, guys. I'll buy the belts with my own money, draining that bank account down to 97 bucks. No joke. I've been stressing about it. And these will be available online, cheaper than your current supplier. And guess what? If you buy them on a Monday, you should have them by Thursday. And that's with the cheap shipping option. That's the goal, okay? Of course, it's USPS, it's UPS, it's FedEx. It's kind of, those things are outside of our control. But if you make your purchase before 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, guess what? It's going out same day. My wife owns a business. She has full-blown distribution. And guess what? They're helping us. They're going to make the dream happen. And guess what? You're going to save money on your favorite belts. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at the work we did on this beautiful German gun barrel Damascus. No look. Woo. That one, I actually felt the wind come off of it.